Well, the Obama administration ordering tighter security in the wake of the botched Christmas Day bombing, and the new rules for people who want to fly into the United States took effect yesterday, and those include full-body pat-downs before flights from 14 countries that are considered countries of interest or state sponsors of terror. But the Associated Press is reporting that there were actually no visible changes today at airports in Lebanon, Syria, and Libya, all countries on that list. And our own Frederick Pleitkin says even several European countries, and those include Germany, France, and Spain, said they were still studying the rules. Joining us now, former TSA Administrator Kip Hawley. Kip, thanks for being with us this morning.
Pleasure, Karen.
So what do you make of this? Some of the European countries say, look, there's some privacy issues we still have to go over here. Great, you can make an order, but it doesn't mean we're necessarily making changes.
Well, I think Fran Townsend yesterday on this program hit the nail on the head and said as a short-term measure, it's probably an effective thing to do to deal with an emergency that we have now. But long-term, I don't think these are meant to be sustainable actions. And what TSA announced Sunday night were requirements on the airlines to get the screening done either at the gate or the checkpoint. So these government conversations have been going on since really Christmas Day and will continue for the next several weeks so that the governments can supplement what the airlines are doing with the right level of security.
Right, but I mean, even as our Frederick Pleitkin was saying, there's, debates going on right now in Britain, our key ally, as to whether or not some of those scanners that they want to be used in some of these instances are constitutional, whether or not they, violate privacy rights and so on. And meantime, you have these full-body pat-downs of 1-year-olds. I mean, this is what's being reported that's happening. Is some of this stuff just window dressing, or are we really safer than we were pre-Christmas scare?
Well, I think the measures that have been announced are something that are an immediate shock to the system. They may be looking at other plots that they want to disrupt in the immediate time frame. So what they've really got to do is figure out the long term, make a political decision on the whole body imager. Is our body scanners something we want to use? We have to work with the European Union to work with their member states on getting the body scanners, the rules for using the body scanners in place across Europe. So those things need to be done to put in place longer term measures. And I don't think the pat down of everybody is going to last very long. And one of the things we have to look out for is not over focusing on this one type of attack. And that if we all run to the soccer ball, so to speak, and look for people's bombs in their underwear, that leaves a whole bunch of other things that we need to be focusing on, maybe not getting enough attention. So I think it's okay as an emergency thing, but long term we have to look at a wide variety of plots.
Right, and as former administrator of the TSA, what do you make of all of this? I mean, look, we clearly let our guard down in some aspect, at least that's what many of the security experts have been saying on our air, and yet you had the situation in Newark just a couple of days ago where a guy wanders the wrong way into what's called the sterile area because perhaps one of the workers, TSA workers, wasn't on guard enough. I mean, so if that system can so easily be breached, what does it say about how safe we really are?
Well, I think what it says is there is a great role for human activity and the importance of keeping the officers and everybody well motivated, focused, and trained. And also things like breach drills, which is what happens when somebody gets through a checkpoint or an exit lane, are usually such that they can close off a small area and contain it until they resolve it. I don't know what happened in Newark, but I do know that across the system, everybody at TSA is very active and I don't want to say jumpy, but anything that happens is going to get an immediate reaction. But that is less important than the longer term of how do we sustain that level of activity and vigilance over a long period, because Al-Qaeda can afford to wait however many months or years they want until they feel the time is right.
Right.
So if we want to put up a
I
was just going to say, if we want to put up a strong position right now, that's good, but it's really what we do next year that's going to be critical.
And Tom Kane on the 9/11 Commission said, look, this Christmas bomber did us a favor by calling attention to our weaknesses and not being able to actually succeed in killing anybody, but refocusing this administration's efforts on terror. Do you agree?
I think that getting public attention and rallying public support around what we need to do in counterterrorism is a positive thing, but we can't go overboard and say there was a weakness on the watch list, therefore we've got to watch list everybody, and there was a weakness in the pat-downs, therefore we've got to really engage in the pat-downs. I think those are two areas that we need to take action on, the watch list and the screening. But we have to be careful not to say that's what the problem is and then put all of our energy there. You know, Al-Qaeda has probably hundreds of Western operatives who have no criminal record and maybe not even on a watch list. So we have to be cognizant that watch lists are important, but we also know that Al-Qaeda knows that we have watch lists, and they will find people who aren't on those watch lists. So it's a long-term thing that we have to not panic. We have to focus on it, but it really needs to be across the board.
Kip Hawley, former administrator with the TSA, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Karen.
Well, President Obama is just back from his Hawaii vacation. He's back at the White House today, but still in Hawaii, the rush is on to rename beaches and schools after the president. Not everyone, though, is on board. Our Ed Henry is looking into this for us this morning. It's 38 minutes after the hour.